Here's the pitch. And Narrier blasts it to left. Goodbye. That's halfway to Burleson. Narrier puts one up into the Cleburne Knight. Warzak from the belt, the 3-2. This one lofted to left field. This one's going back. Briggs is looking up, and that one leaves the yard.
Ground ball to the right side. Arroyo fields it. He throws to first. And the final ticket to the party in the Eastern Division belongs not to Cinderella, but to the Cleburne Railroaders.
I know that he got me now by sight.
Welcome into a special Tuesday edition of RailTalk here from the depot at Cleburne Station. Brad Allred with you for some monumental news. We talked about it on social media that we would have a Blockbuster announcement today. I feel like we've been having those just repetitively as of late. We got a big one for you today. But before we bring you the big news, let's go back to 2019, September of 2019 to be exact. And let's take a walk down memory lane.
This year. 2-1 to count to him here. Let's see if Sanchez can find the mark here on 2-1. Here's the pitch. This ball hit well to right field. Hunter Clannon back on it. Narrier there too, and that ball's left the yard. Jose Sermo with a solo shot. Home run number 30 on the year, and the Explorers are on the board here in the 6th.
And with that, the big news today, the signing of Jose Sermo. Jose Sermo is your newest Cleburne Railroader. You have heard me right. Sermo has put the dagger in Cleburne hearts more times than not as we relive that painful moment of the wild card game back in 2019 where Jose Sermo put Sioux City on the board with that blast to right center field. That was a 0-0 game up until that point. Jose Sermo single-handedly sent the Explorers into the next round of the playoffs offensively at Cleburne's expense. Jose Sermo, let's talk about him. But before we do, let's bring in the man that made it happen as we welcome Cleburne manager Logan Watkins to RailTalk. Waddy, we appreciate your time. I want to ask you first, this happened late last night. Kind of take the Railroader fans through just how quickly this transaction took place.
Yeah, Brad, it's good to do. Yeah, so this has been going on. We've had casual conversations with him for, I'd say, a few weeks now. Fortunately for us, he lives in Texas, which is a huge draw for us, being, I guess, pretty much the only independent ball team here in Texas. So being close to home, his wife and his kid can come visit him when he's at home was a huge factor. I know he had some other teams that were calling on him, trying to get him to go. I mean, not to name any team specifically, but they were trying to get him. And we were fortunate enough that I've had a relationship from playing against him and then managing against him. We've talked, kept a good relationship. And I think this is kind of the benefit of I try to be a good person. I try to surround our organization, put players in the clubhouse that are good people. And I think that attracts these players to want to be a part of this. So, I mean, he's got a good relationship with Zach Narrier, so it was big re-signing Zach. I think all that just kind of factored in, and I think, we talked. He was ready to pull the trigger. I sent him a contract, and I prayed he got it back to me as soon as possible, and he did.
What Jose Sermo brings to your lineup offensively speaks for itself. When we look back at his most recent full season, and I'll just use 2021 as a measuring stick, if you will. 2021 with Sioux City with the Explorers, Jose Sermo, the numbers just jump off the page. He had 29 home runs in 93 games, which was third in the league. He drove in 86 runs. Had 86 RBI, which placed him in the top 5. He also led the league in walks. He led the league in on-base percentage, and he led the league in slugging percentage. A two-part question for you here. Obviously, those numbers translate to an MVP candidate, and I'm not one to make the lineup card for you, but I think Stevie Wonder himself could see that you're probably going to see Zach Nerrier and Jose Sermo hitting back-to-back in the lineup. Talk about what Jose brings to the lineup offensively, and then the second part to that question, talk about that protection that he provides Zach Nerrier in the order.
Yeah, I've kind of messed around with what I think the lineup might look like. Still trying to hunt down a few more guys maybe to put in that clubhouse as well. As far as Sermo, like you mentioned his numbers, but the impact he has is every time he's at the plate, everyone's holding their breath. As an opposing manager, you're praying every time he comes to the plate with nobody on base. So if he does get you for a home run, it's a one-run shot. And so I guess my mentality would be to put him in a position where he's got on-base guys ahead of him. And I think we all know last year we had quite a bit of pop in the lineup, and we can see how quickly that can change the game. I mean, how often, Brad, did we go 1 or 2 hits through 5-6 innings, and all of a sudden in the 7th inning have 2 or 3 home runs, put up a 6 spot, and win the game? So I think that's just kind of where his value lies. He's an impact bat. You have to work as an opposing manager. You have to work, and I know this from you have to work hard to get him out every time he comes to the plate.
What do you see, Logan, in terms of this? And I'll go back to something you said that I thought was quite impactful back in when you got this job as the manager. You said that that you're trying to build a culture here. You're trying to set championship expectations, and as this team under your helm has continued to take those steps. And I know last year, again, the progression to make it to the Eastern Division Championship Series, but you've been at the front of the line to say that's not good enough. We're not stopping until we win championships. And now with these signings, you've been very aggressive with the players you have signed in the offseason, a couple of more that we're going to talk about here in a moment with Mark Karaviotis and the re-signing of Hill Alexander, to go with the Zach Nerriers, to go with the Brian Kleins, to go with the Edwin Arroyos, to go with the Ingel Vielmas, and so on and so forth. You've been very aggressive with your signings as of late, and kind of talk about the way you see this team as you built them to this point.
Yeah, a lot of new faces, but a lot of proven faces. I think with me adding a guy, early in the off season, I want to see some sort of a track record that they've shown over the years, that they've been consistent. I think look at just literally what I do. I live on Baseball Reference. I mean, look at their pretty much without ever having to play, have a pretty good idea of what kind of player they are. And then we go back, we talk to any former coaches that they've had that we know. We talk to former players. And like I mentioned when we started, I think surrounding ourselves in this organization with good people, I think the reputation of the Cleveland Railroaders is starting to be known that this is a destination spot for independent baseball. Good independent baseball players want to, whether that's the coaching staff we have, whether that's the ownership, whether that's our radio broadcaster. I we have a great stadium. We have great fans. Jose Sermo's been around this league for a long time. Here's what everyone else around the league is saying, that we're doing it right. We're getting better. We're going to be one of those that is going to be hopefully put for. We talked about it last year. As bad as we started, the goal, as great as we may look right now on paper, the goal is not to be the best. The goal is to be the best in the league. Very into this. Where we're like we finished 4th place in the division here, that didn't matter to me. I felt like we were one of the top 2. So as good as I think we're going to be opening day, still we're not going to be in place. Looking to improve this, build it up to where we're like finished.
I want to ask you, Logan, I want to ask you, too, about another couple of signings as big as Jose Sermo obviously is, and I think that impact as that announcement is made across the league today will be noticed, not just in Cleveland, but it's going to be noticed in other cities. But I also want to ask you about a couple of other signings, one being Mark Karaviotis. He's going to solidify what looks to be on paper. Again, I might be biased, but I think that this is one of the better outfields in the American Association now with Karaviotis, Zach Nerrier, and Hill Alexander, who we'll also talk about in a moment. But kind of tell us about Mark Karaviotis and what he brings to this team.
Yeah, like I said, you look for track record and market fit. Going back, we have good people in this organization. He's close friends with Zach Nerrier. They were together in the Diamondbacks organization, so that makes us an attractive place for a quality player like Mark to want to go play. And we take advantage of that. The good news is he's been in this league, so I have more of a reference to how he'll perform in this league. Off injury where he missed, I believe it's a shoulder injury, but video, he looks like back to ready to go. He's excited. Talked about this also in the past. Like Cleveland's a place you have to want to be. Once excited to be hot, get around on the bus sometimes. Be here that really believe in playing. Guys like who have that excitement and are hungry to be here I'm hoping are going to for us.
Well, another guy that's very hungry to be here is Hill Alexander, and I know Railroader fans are excited about his return. Hill obviously made a big impact in a smaller sample size in 2022. Probably the dumbest question I'll ask you today. How excited do you have Hill potentially for a full 100 games?
Yeah, I think Hill was part of that core group of guys who had come down the last year. The line for us, right in the middle of it. I extremely excited. Really good dude. When did he show up, Brad? Almost midway through the year, and he hit 13 homers for us. So I mean, put it impact bat. I mean, I'm trying to stack impact bat after impact bat all the way from 1 through 9, maybe 1 and 9 and 8, maybe not power, but guys that are on base in the middle of that lineup. So, putting in a lot of work. I'm putting in all the work I can right now to where the work once it starts is pretty right to hard. Guy back like Hill, who was great for us last year. I'm hoping that outfield should be pretty set.
Well, a lot of strength for this team, 1 through 9 offensively with the signings, and I know a lot of reason for Railroader fans to be excited. Logan, we appreciate the time today. I do want to ask you one final question and kind of publicly give you some credit. I've been wanting to tease you about on previous episodes of RailTalk about you having your focus in other places with your fantasy football prep that's something you obviously take very seriously. So I wanted to give you the platform and the opportunity to answer some of those jabs that I've taken your way. And then the final point I'd like for you to make today is to the Railroader fans and just how excited you are for baseball here in May.
Yeah, so to address the fantasy football, for those that don't know, Brad takes this more serious than me, but happened to finish last or second to last in our Railroader League this year. And so now, like everybody that was towards the top is just so obsessed with fantasy, and Brad doesn't really care. So that's kind of the route Brad's going with that. The building this roster for Cleveland right now is my football. I'm working hard. Of our we've got some players from Venezuela coming in this year. That was really instrumental in getting us connected with those guys. But yeah, we've been working hard. I'm excited to get back to Texas. Feel it here in Kansas, at least. The spring weather's starting to come, and wake up in the morning and it's not nearly as cold anymore. It's starting to feel like baseball season. So I'm excited. I hope Cleburne fans and everybody and you, I mean, you're one of the guys that gives me hype the most because you care as much as I do about this stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm getting fired up. up kind of with our pitching staff. We have a few more holes still we got to fill in. I know we're not going the same route as every other team in the league. We're being a little bit more aggressive early and getting guys that we feel are going to help us right away, where some teams are kind of waiting maybe for some whatever's going to be the fallout from affiliate ball. But, yeah, we're being aggressive early. The roster is pretty close for those right. I hope everyone else is excited as I am.
Well, we're certainly excited for the team that you have constructed on, like I said, on paper, it's almost like a video game offense. And obviously the addition of Jose Sermo today just kind of puts the icing on the cake, if you will. Obviously, Railroader fans very familiar with what Jose has done to Cleburne here at the depot at Cleburne Station. So it's good to see him, or it will be good to see him put on the home Railroader uniform and continue to demolish baseballs here at the depot like he's done in the past. Logan, we appreciate the time today and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, miss you guys. I'll hopefully be done.
Looking forward to the great Logan Watkins there joining us today on RailTalk Live. And again, for those that are just joining us, Jose Sermo, the newest addition to the Cleburne Railroaders, as he is signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered to the depot at Cleburne Station here for 2023. The latest signing, again, Mark Caraviotis, Hill Alexander, Zach Narrier, Edwin Arroyo, Brian Klein, amongst others offensively for this team in 2023. Very excited, but definitely newsworthy today to come in and bring you the latest news. That, again, the signing of Jose Sermo, who will be a part of the Cleburne Railroaders in 2023. I want to thank Logan Watkins again for joining us today here on RailTalk, and we will be back very soon. Hannah Carr will be with me. We'll even try to get Seth Dowdle on for a future episode as we will break down this roster and get you closer to spring training. We're inside 100 days. Get your tickets now for your season tickets at railroaderbaseball.com. Until next time, next edition of RailTalk, this is Brad Allred signing off from the depot. We'll talk to everybody soon. Go Roaders!